Hello, welcome to Serious Snack Sandwich. Today I have a really quick video for you on Makina. Okay, Makina is a new project that has pretty much just kind of gone live today. It's pretty interesting and there's a lot here, okay? So you can go through the docs as usual. I would suggest you do this. There's a lot of information here and it'll probably take you a long time to read it. I do have a flowchart to kind of explain to you the main gist of this, but I'm not going to go into every single little aspect of every single little aspect. I'm just going to give you an overview of it so you can kind of understand. And then from there, if you think this is interesting and these ideas are cool, then you could come here, ask, read through the docs yourself or go to their Discord or Telegram, ask them some more questions. Okay, so let's swing over to the docs and see what's going on. Okay, so here we are on the docs. We have grandma. She's got a bunch of capital. She doesn't really want to do much work. She just wants to put it to work. So she comes to Makina to take part in this system, right? Currently, right now, the opportunities are WBTC, ETH, and USDC. This could change very easily in the future, and it most likely will. But for now, those are the three options that are there. So right now, there is a Dialectic is this like strategy manager. Okay, you see these kind of popping up all over DeFi nowadays, where like you have vaults that are managed by institutional grade strategy performers, right? So they'll take your assets and they'll put it to work based on some institutionally tested strategies and so forth. So in this case, it's Dialectic, sorry, but there could be many in the future, like Verlamore or Steakhouse or whoever wants to kind of become a what they're calling here operators or strategists, right? So I'm going to refer to them as operators from now on, but because that's what Makina is calling them. Okay, so in this case, we're going to be talking about the Dialectic one. So one of the roles, what does this role do is it basically takes your funds and it executes farming for you. So he hunts down the strategy, the yield sources, assesses the risk, puts your assets to work, and for this service they earn themselves a management and performance fee. So management fee is basically some sort of fee based on the entirety of the assets under management, and performance fee is just basically a cut of the rewards from wherever they are farming, right? In order to be one of these strategists or operators, they do have to bond some assets, and if they do anything malicious, they will be slashed, okay? And I'll get to the slashing bonding in a little bit, okay? So she deposits these assets into the different Makina vaults, right? And she'll get back an ERC20 vault token. So these ERC20 vault tokens are composable all over DeFi. They can go into liquidity pools, they can be collateral, they can be whatever, right? Right now, currently, if you do take part in this, you are farming some points and some tickets. Okay, I'll talk about the difference. So points are basically equal to future governance token airdrop. Tickets are like your ability to buy the token from a sort of pre-sale price. Okay, so all the VCs bought tokens, right? And you can buy at the same price as them based on how many tickets you get, right? So I don't know all of the details now about how much a ticket will get you, but it basically gets you priority access to the pre-sale or the public sale, which will be priced at the same price as the VCs, okay? So this is current right now. It's week one. When you look on the front end, you'll see points, and you'll see tickets, and you'll see a number, and that number means how many tickets you have and how many points you have. It's like both of them. They are going up at the same rate. So it's not a total. It's like if you have 30,000 is the number, then that means you have 30,000 tickets and 30,000 points, okay? So right now you can take part in these simply by minting, right? So you deposit into these assets, into these positions, and you get the reward token, or sorry, the vault token, and you are earning some points. Now, moving on. The other possibility is you can take those those vault tokens, and you can swap them on Curve, or you can LP on Curve. So if you find that the capacities are are set. Like they only have a certain amount of space. So maybe it's like 10 million. They only want 10 million at USDC inside the vault right now. So, right, if you come to there and you're like, you want to mint the vault tokens, but there's none left, then you can buy them from the curve pool, or you can provide liquidity to the curve pool. And because it's curve, you can single-sided. You can just provide the USDC. But if you are doing that, be careful of any kind of slippage or price impact, particularly. If people just keep throwing tons of USDC in here, the value of these goes up more than it should, right? So be careful about this kind of thing. You get 1.5 times the tickets and the points than if you were just holding the token. So it's worth considering, but like think of it this way, like if you do put your assets in here and then it goes into the liquidity pool and someone buys, people buy them like crazy, then when you withdraw, you will have less vault tokens but a bunch of USDC. It's up to you. You decide what you want to do on that, but you will get more points and more tickets if you do provide liquidity to these liquidity pools right now on Curve. Now let's talk about what these vaults do. Like most vaults can have multiple strategies. So in this case, they call it the machine, or the machine is the vault where you deposit your assets and you get a vault token or ERC share token. And then the assets are sent to these things they're calling calipers, which are like strategies and so forth. Okay, so let's go kind of through the list of what a caliper is. So the caliper will hold the funds. So in this case, if we took the WETH and then the WETH went into this caliper, and then so they hold the funds and they have like pre-approved functions that they can call. So there's a big Merkle tree set of a whole bunch of functions that they can call. They can call maybe swap or deposit or claim or collateral, open collateral position, or whatever happens to be that big list of pre-approved functions these calibers can perform. They communicate back to the machine because this machine needs to know how many assets are there so that it can calculate the share price of the tokens, and then also to give the fees to the manager or the operator, right? So it communicates back, the counting of WETH to WETH. So like if there are, like, for example, if it's holding like Lido staked ETH, WST ETH, and there is an oracle for WST ETH versus ETH, then it can tell, the machine that, oh, it still has that ETH, right? Because there's an oracle price and it knows how much it's worth and so forth. But some things like, assets like maybe like a reward token, like, I don't know, like CRV or Arrow or something like this, it wouldn't know how much it's worth right away, okay, to calculate it back. So there need to be some selling of it or compounding or something like that. So there's a base token, which is basically WETH. So WETH is the base token. And then there are positions. So it keeps track of like, oh, I sent, 7 ETH here. I swapped like 3 ETH for 2.5 WST ETH, and I added all that to a liquidity position here. So it keeps track of the positions that this caliper is doing, and then it also again reports any risk parameters back to the machine. Basically, if there's anything happening that the operator has done anything risky, it will report this back to the machine, and then the machine can know what's going on. Moving on. There's also bridges, so there can be multiple calipers for one machine, and they can cross multiple bridges. Right now I just have one bridge as an icon, but you can kind of visualize it as it can go across many different kinds of whitelisted bridges. So maybe it will be able to cross Wormhole or Stargate or like Layer 0 or what have you, right? So it can kind of connect with all of these different bridges and send stuff across bridges to calipers on other chains. But these calipers need to communicate with the vault on mainnet, right? And they use the Wormhole message sending service to send back the communication of like the accounting and the base versus positions and all this kind of stuff. Send it back to the vault or the machine on mainnet so that the machine can keep track of the share price at all times, right? Moving on. Then, so there are some other players in this system. There is like a risk manager. So this is kind of like a quant, a super smart guy who's kind of monitoring this, and his job is to like, if the operator wants to change the functions, like let's say they find a new farm, and all of the list of functions that are available cannot get them into this new position, right? Then they need to talk to the risk manager and say, hey, listen, I need a new function to collateralize on this new protocol, right? So then the risk manager's job is to like assess that and make sure that that function doesn't like mess up with the code or what have you, and add those new functions to the calipers and to the machine, right? And he's also monitoring the risk parameters. So if he can monitor and change the risk parameters. So like you can only send 20% to this place because of risk tolerances or what have you. And so he's monitoring that, and he sets those risk parameters. And then if those risk parameters are broken or avoided or not followed, or maybe that place gets bad debt or exploited or rug pulled or something like that, he can initiate recovery mode and basically removes the power of all of the calipers from this like executive or from this the operator. So in this case, Dialectic will not have power over these calipers if he initiates recovery mode. Moving on, so we have a security council, which is probably like what you would consider the probably going to be the Makina DAO, right? So they will also review any kind of new functions that the risk manager is liking to add. They can also initiate recovery mode, and in recovery mode, they are the ones who take over and have the power to take actions. So they're the ones who will then figure out how to get the money back, if possible, recovery of that money, or change the price per share so that the losses are socialized, this kind of stuff, right? So it's like the DAO is the kind of the security council. I'm not saying every single token holder will be part of this council. Maybe it's selected from the community. I'm not exactly sure. So these calipers run on-chain. They have on-chain Merkle tree. There's this like Makina virtual machine. Now this is like a really hard thing. There's a lot of information here. If you go to the docs and read about the Makina virtual machine, then you will kind of understand much more depth than what I'm going to get into you. But basically there are these like Merkle trees. So like these lists of like functions that can be like performed by these calipers, right? And different kinds of things. So it doesn't need, there's a whole big list of them already there. So they're most likely covered any kind of farm that's coming up, unless it's a brand new tech and brand new code and not using the standardization of functions, right? So it also kind of covers the math and deals with the math so that the calipers can, report and the machine can calculate the values of things and the share price and so forth. It also allows for multi-call. So instead of having to deposit or approve, then send a transaction to deposit and then send a transaction to claim or stake or what have you, they can bundle all these up into like multi-calls and send multiple functions at the same time. They can also have the ability to like places where they can get flash loans if they want to do like looping, because like looping is basically deposit, borrow, buy, deposit more, borrow, buy, deposit more, borrow, buy, and so forth. But with a flash loan, you can just buy a whole bunch, deposit, borrow a whole bunch, and repay your flash loan, right? So flash loans are there, and then basically like it verifies like that the things that are going on inside these calipers and stuff. So this is like the language of the calipers, the coding language of the calipers. But the key thing is that it's all on chain in a Merkle tree. Okay. Now, the last thing we have here is we have this like risk policy. anyone, this is like a permissionless like tool that's kind of on all of these like calipers. So anyone can kind of monitor these calipers for the risk policy. And basically things that are like different kind of tokens or different kind of projects or different kinds of bridges, they all have to be like verified and whitelisted. So if this caliper somehow is like using the wrong token or buying like the wrong token or speculating or too much of a token or using a project that they shouldn't be using that hasn't been vetted or a bridge or something like that, then this ninja can kind of instigate this slashing of the operator, right? So it's like a permissionless ninja watching the operators, make sure they don't break any of the rules, right? Things like individual caps, so like how many tokens, and like permissionless, it's like I said, it's permissionless. He just has to prove that they versus the Merkle tree that they violated the policy, and then this guy will be slashed and the ninja will be rewarded from that slashing. Okay, so that's pretty much it. There's a lot here. It's basically like what you would expect from like any kind of like yield aggregating vault. However, there's a lot of new like on-chain parameters and risk assessment. It's not just like the strategist is also in charge of vetting the protocol, is also in charge of pausing the strategy, is also in charge of like everything, right? So that they've delegated a lot of the risk to other parties than the party who's actually has the strategy. So I really like this. I'm quite bullish on this, and I'm participating in it. So I hope it works out great for everyone who participates in it. So that's it for today. I hope this has been useful and interesting, and thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.